shifting things.
Okie dokie. We're going to get right into it today. It's May 12th. May 12th, and we are going to talk about kindness. Kindness is always the right response.
Yes.
Okay, I'm excited about this because kindness and like truthfulness sometimes seem to be at odds with each other in my skill set, in my personal skill set, in terms of like, sometimes it seems like I have to choose to be one or the other because I have not developed the skills to be, hey, I'm totally authentically congruent saying exactly what I need to say right now, and I'm doing it in a way where I'm not like calling you an asshole or something.
Yeah. I was gonna say like congruent is not necessarily say anything that comes through your head, but like say the meanings
Exactly.
and the feelings.
Yes.
But be careful with the language of how you package it, because
Right.
people might take it all kinds of ways. So that's why it's the I feel. That's the formula for a successful expression of feelings is I feel.
Yeah. ...
Not like you made me feel, or this made me feel, or like I'm so angry because of that. It's like, it's like, well, I'm angry because of that. You could potentially, that could be, but I cannot say I'm angry because you. Now that is you're now getting into the territory of non-kindness, right? So it's like, I am some feeling because scenario. Trigger, something like that, yeah. That's not an easy thing to do when you are used to do it the other way.
Just say it however it comes into your head.
Yeah. I definitely, like when you just read the title, I was into, like, the first thing that came to mind was like I want to already
be that person
all the time, right? And it's like, well, then I have to say like, well, you're on your way, buddy. You're doing, every day you're trying new things and towards some sort of a thing like this. So like, at least you're trying and you're being on the right path. But I do witness my own slip-ups throughout it, and then I go, that gets me to like, then it's hard to say, oh, hey, there's a slip-up. It's okay. That's just one of those slip-ups. They will happen during that slip-up. It feels like, I can't do anything right. It's this self, kind of punishing, guilt, shame type of
thing, yeah. That's interesting. When I was like talking to my boss earlier this week, there was something about like me not being okay with things not being just the best, the most amazing thing that they could possibly be. And then she reminded me, she was like, you should really listen to Brene Brown's book, The Gifts of Imperfection. And I was like, yeah, that's definitely, for someone like me who's
Gifts
like...
of Imperfection.
Yeah.
I love that's the title.
Because, with my strengths being like achieving and then also significance, those two things kind of coming together and being like a driving force in my life sort of makes me not really okay with things being average, or I don't think of myself as a perfectionist because I understand the learning process, but at the same time, I can't let good enough just be good enough.
Yeah, you can look at your imperfections in positive way.
Yeah.
You're seeing them as like,
well, I do. It's weird because I think I do.
I gotta improve all the time. I gotta improve from this versus maybe like, oh, I can lean into this in some other way, right? It's like, Yeah.
I feel like I'm leaning into it more now than I ever
Mhm.
have, but have I discovered the most optimal way of leaning into my
Oh,
imperfections, my weaknesses, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it? Certainly not.
spectrum. It's a spectrum of a thing, you know.
So, in any case, Brene
Yeah.
Brown, and she narrates it herself if we wanted to get it on Audible.
Oh yeah, that sounds great. Because the other book was great. Hold me. No, not hold me tight. That's a different person. That's Susan.
Dare to Lead.
Dare to lead. Dare to lead. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she got me onto the Eisenhower quote.
Oh, not Eisenhower, Teddy Roosevelt.
Teddy Roosevelt.
The
Teddy Roosevelt.
in the arena.
The
quote.
arena quote. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good quote. I want to get that quote on Etsy. If you just type in the arena, it's like etched onto like wood and like all kinds of things. Like I feel like it would be cool to hang something like that in my office.
For sure. Yeah, because these quotes and these things come, and then like they're kind of profound for a few weeks, and then it trickles out. You're like, wait, what was it? Oh, the arena. That's right. Oh my God, I gotta get my sleeves up.
Time to go to work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, let's read our quote today. We have Marcus Aurelius is going to grace us with his presence. How fancy.
Mm-hmm.
The emperor makes an arrival. He says, kindness is invincible, but only when it's sincere, with no hypocrisy or faking. For what can even the most malicious person do if you keep showing kindness? And if given the chance, you gently point out where they went wrong, right as they are trying to harm you. So he's getting right at that tricky point with how do I be kind and say the hard thing that needs to be said in order for me to be congruent, like for me to be not hiding bullshit, not becoming, because I run the risk of becoming passive aggressive. I don't know how to handle a situation. And so if it goes between, if I have to choose one, kindness or honesty, I actually am more on the kindness. Like I will back away from the confrontation side of it. And so now I'm holding things in that I should be saying, and I'm just saying this like nice thing on top of it that's just really a bunch of bullshit.
Like a fluff niceness.
Yeah, and like people can read under it like, oh, something's going on under the surface here, and it's like, yeah, I'm trying like really hard to be nice.
So it's like there is something you might disagree, but then you don't know how to express it in a way that that it's going to not hurt you or something, or like
the thing is the way it occurs
because
to
that's
me,
something, it's like that's what's happening in me, like
yeah,
I don't want to express something because I'm like, well, what, like I don't like how this is going, but I don't know how to say that,
right?
and if I just say it how it's going in here, well, these guys are gonna be like, dude, why are you so adamant about this,
over the top about this or something. Yeah. It's essentially the conversation that we were having yesterday, where I have a thought and like I'm aware that I cannot just say this thought as it occurs to me because there's judgment in it. There, like, it's just like kind of, I have the nasty voice in my head of like how I was talked to when I was a kid. And that nasty voice is now my voice, but it's saying and talking in the way of just how I have heard that. And that voice will come on of just like, I see somebody walking across the street in an outfit that catches my attention, and that voice is there saying something in some way for some reason. This is the voice, but this can happen at any time. It can happen in a conversation with you. It can happen with a conversation at work, like anything. And that voice always leads me to trouble if I just say, okay, I'm just going to have no filter and I'm going to let this voice come out through my vocal cords. 100% of the time it gets me in trouble. And so, but life is moving, and sometimes I'm in a situation and I need to make a decision. Like I can't just spend forever thinking about the next thing to say. Right. So either I mess up and I do that thing and then I, feel like shit about it for like a few days, or I will hold it in and then I'll do the fake thing on top of it because I don't know what else to do.
Yeah. And that's interesting. Yeah, because that makes me think of like I want to be able to say like, you know what, I don't understand it exactly, but I'll keep thinking about it. Like these words are
To buy yourself some time.
To buy yourself time to think about it, right? Like there's nobody's, and that's the thing. During a conversation, we are thinking maybe, or during a meeting or something, we're feeling this like, I feel this like not a competition, but kind of like, well, this has to move forward. Everything has to, and if we don't know right now something, well, that's nervous feeling that somebody doesn't know something, right? Like there might be this kind of sensation in there, like why is this not already figured it out? And it's like somehow I was connecting it to this, what I was saying, but lost the train. But
yeah, like you think that you. Oh no. It's like slipping away like a dream, when you wake up in the morning, it's like, okay, goodbye. Yeah, so, and then I guess maybe I'll just go into this area and then let me know if it comes back to you. Like, you were saying like buy yourself some time.
Buy yourself some time.
Right, because this is, and that made me think of
having the mechanism to respond in a way that you're not saying, no, you're dumb, that's not how it works. Just and also not saying, oh, okay, well, yeah, that's just how it is, I guess. No, not that and not that. It's this other one, like, well, I'm not so sure, maybe, and I'm not so sure, but let me think about it more, and I'll, I have to like mull this over in my head, and let me,
Yeah,
I'll give you my 2 cents.
I
after
would say
that. Like, because someone might say like, "What do you think?
That.
What do you think?"
Yeah,
right?
and
I the way I'm thinking about it right now, it's not all pieced together. So let me take some time, and I'll get back to you.
Sure.
Some sort of a mechanism.
I feel like I'm actually pretty good about that. Like that.
Oh, you might be good. I'm not. Yeah, I'm saying.
Oh, you're saying it because of you. Okay.
I'm not good at that because I cover it up again.
Oh, right.
No, I'm just saying I do the same thing what you were describing, that you cover it up with this thing.
Oh, okay,
right?
okay.
So when I'm saying you, I'm also meaning me because I'm also doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I would maybe cover it up, or my response is like too strong or something. Like, well, like some sort of a judgment. Hey, should we do this or should we do that? I want to do this. So instead of me trying to convince people how awesome this is, I'm gonna go focus on how this is terrible, right? Or something like that, right? So and in that way, I'm kind of like that's too strong of a response, right? Like, so then
And in that case, are you just like saying, is it just like the way it occurs to you and then you're saying it, and that's what you're saying is getting
because
you
I
in
haven't
trouble?
done the like, okay, hold on, what do I really want to say? Do I understand all of this? I don't actually understand. Okay, well then I don't understand it. Then being congruent and saying I don't actually understand it, I need some time to think about it so I can get through this concept of how this works. I gotta think.
Yeah, that's interesting because being congruent is not necessarily just like exposing every thought that's in your head the way that it occurs. It's not like you just being like, whoa, like word vomiting everything in that brain. It's actually being congruent is like, am I aware of like the thought that's in my head, that the truthiness of this thought, how truthful this thought is, and am I taking that into consideration and putting that thought into the bigger picture and then expressing all of that out into this space.
And when you say truth, it's really like how it feels, because it's the congruency is connected with feelings. So it's like, hey, this is what I think, but I'm not going to say that. Well, hold on. well, I'm feeling like I need to say something, and now you're fighting this, right? So being congruent to say like, no, I need to express the how these thoughts are, what feelings they're creating, right? And then the congruence is talking about the thoughts plus the feelings with it or something. So that's how I look at it. It's like expressing the feelings that these thoughts are creating, because that's why because otherwise you're gonna be like, okay, yeah, it's okay, whatever, like you don't actually care. Like you might move on, or you might say something, or you might say, I don't want to really, I don't feel pressured to say anything. Like you might not feel pressured to say anything, and then you don't say anything, because now you're being congruent with not saying. You're not feeling like I have to say something. It's those moments where you feel I have to say something, and you're overriding it in your head with, no, this isn't appropriate, I can't say it like that, or that's where in my mind the congruency is like, oh, like you gotta say those things that are in there bothering you, but you're not expressing them in no way.
Yeah, maybe congruence doesn't have anything to do with being kind. Maybe it's just like, but it is kind of, I like it. I can see the connection between kindness and congruence. Yeah, but if you're just having a feeling, there's a thought, and you're saying the thought exactly as it occurs to you, you might be like cussing somebody out. So maybe in that case you're being congruent, but you're not being kind.
But that's out of control congruent. That's not. You still have to go based on some principles of like treating each other.
Right. So it's not just saying feeling thought out. It's feeling thought like
kindness filter and then out, or something like that, or
kindness filter is
or just like thinking about it in some way.
Well, the kindness filter is like probably just like
put on the top of it.
I am being kind when I am operating from the perspective that I am one small thing inside of this much larger thing that everyone and everything else is a part of.
Oh, sure. So if you remember to like kind of keep your ego at the door, then...
Well, what I'm saying is like I'm just trying to define what a kindness filter is.
Yes,
so a kindness filter is when I take a thought that's in my head and then I look at it through the lens of, oh shit, the reality is that I am this one small thing in this much larger thing. Yeah,
you're not the only person in the interaction.
And so now I take my feeling and my thought, and I still have something to express, because like you're saying, I had that, I have to say something, impulse or something, like there's something to be expressed. And now my job is to run it through my kindness filter and share that.
Oh, filter. I get what you're saying, like, yes, kindness filter, but like sometimes the kindness, kindness can be harsh. You know what I mean? I don't want to say kindness means being nice.
Correct.
Kindness means being congruent in my view, because when I'm actually expressing how I really feel inside, and like, but not with whatever words they're available. No, it has to go through some sort of a filtering.
Right. And that's where I'm like confused about congruence then, because if you can be congruent while cussing somebody out, then we can't say.
But you're not cussing anyone out. But you are not nice.
I know, but like
congruent could be, I'm not nice because like you bust my window with a rock for no reason. Why should I be? I am not going to be kind. I'm going to be kind by being stern and by being kind maybe with my words, that I'm not actually cussing anyone out, but I will be expressing my anger because somebody bust my window. So it's, to me, that if I say don't worry about it, well. No. And inside I'm feeling, So this is how I'm connecting those things. Like being congruent is being kind, because I'm being truthful. right? And so I'm being truthful as I can be without being mean, but maybe being stern and a lot of times being and stern kind versus nice kind.
Yeah, I agree with you about all of that. I'm just not certain that we have the same definition of congruence.
That's okay, but this is not about congruence. So it's,
right. I know exactly. Yeah, I'm on the same page that like kindness and niceness. Again, niceness then is like the passive aggressive thing of like
niceness without congruence is passive aggressive. Yes. Niceness with congruence is the truthful niceness. I really appreciate what you've done for me. You've done this and this and this for me, and I really appreciate it. Versus like, oh my God, you're always so attentive, but like I never see you, I never observe you. Like some being fake nice versus kind. Like
I think we're on the same page. I just don't. I'm not the definition of congruence.
It means other things in your.
I just don't think that we've ever had a conversation where we actually defined it and got down to the bottom of like what does it actually mean.
Oh, I see. So you would want to come to exact same understanding to that word from both of our point of view.
Because otherwise when you use the word, I'm not confident that I know what you're talking about because I'm like, well, I don't know how he's using this word. So, and I'm not saying we need to do that right now because this is not even about congruence. This is about kindness. I'm just saying that like that's the gap in this whole conversation for me right now is like everything else is like totally.
You have a different.
But maybe I don't. Maybe we have the same. We just haven't gotten onto the same page. But no,
you can't have same. It will be different because you are in this body from that point of view. So if you're understanding that word, will have a different combination than mine. Similar, maybe, sure, but not same, right? So I'm not trying to get on the same exact precise definition of that as long as we're in the same bucket or something, which I think we are. It's just what you're saying is like maybe those the weeds are not currently on the same. You have a different understanding. I have a different understanding.
Yeah, I'm just
not
saying
correct or
when
incorrect,
maybe the next time we talk about congruence, let's start with what it actually means so that we can get on the same page, because we've brought it up a few times at this point, and so like I would just be interested.
I think that didn't I describe it? It's the expression of those feelings. Like I think I described the definition of congruence.
Do you want to just get into it right now? Like, do you want to clear up the air right now? And just like define the term? Okay. Where I'm confused about congruence is the idea of like, is the person who has no filter, who's just saying whatever comes into their head, however it comes into their head, they get upset at a grocery store clerk and they start like cussing them out. Is that person being congruent?
No.
Why? What is not congruent about that person?
They're not realizing that they're not the only person on the planet. They're not taking the other person's.
So what does congruence mean? It means to, like what is congruence in your mind?
It's expressing your feelings and your, like you want to express what you're feeling without affecting and hurting somebody else. When you're cussing someone out, when you're getting angry and animated and all of this stuff, you're out of that thing. Now your emotions are taking over. You're no longer expressing them verbally or in some sort of way that will get you some sort of a positive results, right? Like you don't want. In my head, congruency is like more about expressing what you're feeling and not hiding. Really, it's about not hiding what you're going through. Right? That's to me definition of congruence. Now, is there like a something of like, well, could you be congruent and be yelling at somebody? Well, yes, but that's not sure. I'm going to say yes. You can be congruent and actually be cussing somebody out. Yes, but you're not being kind, and you're not. And congruence is not the only thing you have to be. Right?
So wait, congruence is when you are expressing a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, if you're cussing somebody out, you're not expressing a feeling. You're calling them a name. Your name, so you're judging
You would
them.
be making that about them, and what I was saying is that being congruent is the way to express that is I am having an issue with this. This is how I'm having that issue with it. It's about it's making it about myself versus the second I'm saying you did something that has nothing to do with congruence. That's just
right. And so, and then here's where like the nuances, I start to wrap my head around it, and then there's another example in the room that then I'm like, oh wow, I'm no longer wrapping my head around this, because it's like, okay, if congruence is like expressing the feeling of I feel, and there's a whole list of feelings. I feel angry, I feel insecure, I feel overwhelmed, I feel these are feelings. And then there's this other example that you gave of like, well, I am having an issue with this. So that's not necessarily like a feeling, it's like a mixture. And so this is where like, what is the internal texture that needs to be expressed out in the world in order for it to be congruent? Because to say like, well, it's just sharing the feeling, like, well, that clearly must be more than just the feeling if it's also sharing a sentiment of like, oh, well, like, here's what I have an issue with. Like, I don't think I'm feeling good about this or good about that or something like that. Like it seems bigger than just sharing the feeling. And this is where my interest lies in trying to clear up what exactly congruent is then. Do you see my struggle? Do you see what I'm struggling with?
I think so. Like you're maybe thinking about it like congruence is this thing that will make you be like awesome person or something. Oh, from all kind of angles. Like it's like this big overarching thing. I am looking at it as like it's like a one tool.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand what the tool
to
is. That's my confusion.
Expressing your feelings.
So
and
literally,
not
it's just
your feelings. Yes,
it's just feelings.
Yes, expressing how you feel, whatever this situation made you feel like. Expressing it and not hiding it would, in my definition, would be you're being congruent. Yeah.
Okay.
Cussing at somebody, you were giving me an example of cussing at somebody or yelling at somebody. You're not being congruent because you're not expressing your feelings. You're just yelling at somebody or cussing somebody out, right? So you're not talking about you, yourself, me. I'm having problem with this because the guy said, it doesn't make sense in my head because if I align it like this, it makes sense like that. And then now they can give you some other feedback.
Right, and so in that instance, you're not sharing a feeling, you're sharing a point of view. And so that's what this is where my confusion is.
But I said like this makes me upset. I would say this makes me upset or this makes me bend out of shape. Bend out of shape is kind of like a feeling. I don't have all 50 feelings exactly memorized, but like I know that there is some disagreement inside of me that I go like I'm disagreeing with something here. And what am I disagreeing with? Well, I'm understanding it this way, right? Please correct me if I'm wrong. I want to be kind here. I want to understand it, but
so you're expressing.
I'm not gonna say just like, oh, I disagree with this. So damn, I guess it's some other way.
Right.
Like that is what I'm saying. Don't do that
So
to yourself.
so then it sounds to me like congruence then is actually a mixture of sharing a feeling plus a point of view.
Yes, because the feeling
on its own is like,
just like, hey, you can say someone says some opinion, you can say, well, that makes me very angry, right? Like you can just say that and just stop, but then the people, like somebody will try to find out why, like right after you express that feeling. I'm sad. Why? Right? Like it's very natural to say like oh, I'm sad because I'm seeing it like this, or I'm angry because right? So like you want like, so sure, it's being congruent. Speak up. Why am I speaking up? Because I have this thing, and now I have to say, oh, how am I viewing it, and why do I feel this disagreement inside of me? Because I'm seeing it from a different angle, and I'm not understanding what they're saying. So we're not on the same page, and we need to be on the same page. Change my mind, please. I want my mind to be changed and my understanding of that. But I need to understand it from this new point of view and not just brush it off the table and say, I guess it's like that, and without me actually understanding it. Then I'm not being congruent. I'm being just like passive or something. Yeah.
That's why I even like called out the fact that like, well, hey, like I'm confused about this congruence thing because like it's maybe silly, but like I don't feel good about moving on with the conversation until we at least acknowledge either I understand or we agree that it's okay that I don't, and then I move forward.
Right. And also like we have not like, I don't know what, I've read definitions in some books and stuff like that, right? Like we can Google this, we can Chat GPT this, like we can get on the same page. Like I just didn't want to like start Googling things now and just kind of like doing that. But how are you feeling now? Do you feel, is it like more?
I mean, yeah, where I'm at with it now is like congruence is sharing the feeling, the emotion that's present. Whether it's even stated out loud, I don't know if you need to like overtly be like, I am feeling X. Like it might just be enough for you to admit it to yourself and accept it, and then you will communicate it through the point of view somehow. But it's like, here's what I'm feeling presently. Here's the point of view that this is attached to. And then the kindness element is saying, let me now put all of that into this bigger context, which is I'm not the center of the story. I'm a component of a something bigger. Yeah. And now this is how I make sure that my congruence is coming out in a kind manner. Kind,
genuine, and it's actually coming out. Right.
Yeah. Well, the congruence is that it's coming out.
That's coming out, yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's what stops me from being the passive-aggressive person who's...
Because, that's the funny thing. Like, the second we go, like, I'll just, whatever, I'm not going to do that. Well, that's like, you just put some weight on your shoulder that you're going to have to deal with at some point, and now you're being passive-aggressive with this thing.
Maybe then you're passive-aggressive or aggressive.
Or aggressive.
Which is the person who's cussing out
or passive, and you collecting and collecting and collecting, and then you just quit one day.
Right.
Because, and out of the blue, there's like, I can't deal with this, goodbye. And everyone's like, but Jerry was such a nice guy. He was just here. He was always quiet. Well, yeah, no, he was collecting all this garbage that he was disagreeing, but he was not able to express.
Yeah, so in a sense, congruence is I can also think about it like it's assertiveness, almost a synonym, except for it's more helpful than assertiveness because it actually tells me what to do.
It tells you what to do because assertiveness is kind of like
it seems like
what happens. It's like an outcome of being congruent.
Right, and it also seems like assertiveness is like a character trait or something. Like, oh, wouldn't it be great if I were more assertive?
I have to be assertive. What is that? How?
Yeah.
Just go like this.
I'm assertive. Okay. Jeez, Louise, this was a long one. Freaking, oh my gosh. Let's read Ryan and then wrap it up. Yeah?
Yeah.
What if the next time you were treated meanly, you didn't just restrain yourself from fighting back? What if you responded with unmitigated kindness? What if you could love your enemies, do good to those who hate you? What kind of effect do you think that would have? The Bible says that when you can do something nice and caring to a hateful enemy, it is like heaping burning coals on his head. The expected reaction to hatred is more hatred. When someone says something pointed or mean today, they expect you to respond in kind, not with kindness. When that doesn't happen, they are embarrassed. It's a shock to their system. It makes them and you better. Most rudeness, meanness, and cruelty are a mask for deep-seated weakness. Kindness in these situations is only possible for people of great strength. You have that strength. Use it.